Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome you here to celebrate our 2017 Peacemaker, Mary Poole. Finally, seems like it's been a long time since we are planning to celebration today. I want to begin today by inviting to the stage Beth Youngblood and the members of the Montana Women's Chorus, Missoula.
Well, to paraphrase some of the lyrics from this beautiful song by Anne Reid, hi Mary. Every long journey is made of small steps, is made of the courage, the feeling you get. When you know it's been waiting for you, the journey's the only thing you want to do. And every long journey begins with a dream that has been calling to you and the courage to make it all real. We in the peace community owe Mary Poole a great appreciation for taking one small step, one small courageous step after another, I'm sure not always certain, after another to bring soft landing and its deeply important work to our community. Every long journey is made of small steps, is made of the courage, the feeling you get when you know it's been waiting for you. The journey's the only thing you want to do. You cannot go what you go through or see through your eyes, but we will surround you, our bright undisguised, in any direction, whatever you view. You're taking our love there with you. Every long journey, what drives you to go is half what you know and half what you don't. Your secret's been waiting, your heart's got the key. The secret's the only thing you want to see. You cannot know what you go through or see through your eyes, but we will surround you, our pride undisguised, in any direction, whatever you view. You're taking our love there with you. Every long journey begins with a dream, the spirit, the courage to make it all real. The dream has been calling to you. The dream is the only thing you want to do. We cannot know what you go through or see through your eyes, but we will surround you, our pride undisguised, in any direction, whatever you view. You're taking our love there with you. We cannot know what you go through or see through your eyes, but we will surround you, our pride undisguised, in any direction, whatever you view. You're taking our love, taking our love, taking our love there with you.
Thank you, ladies. Over 30 years ago, a group of women were concerned about the tragedies around the world that they saw in the newspapers and in their televisions. They wanted to do something that would have some impact. And they soon realized that right here in their very young community of Missoula, Montana, there were good people doing good things. So these women who knew how to sew beautiful quilts got together and gave as a gift a beautiful quilt to Flo Chesson, who had started a local chapter of Missoula Women for Peace, which was a chapter of the International League for Peace and Freedom. They realized the power of focusing on good people doing good things as a way to balance out the wars and the tragedies that they saw on the news. And the Missoula Peace Quilters, the dream of the Missoula Peace Quilters was born. Well, today we certainly need a balance for the tragedies that we see on the TV and in our newspapers, maybe more than they did in 1986. So this award has become a Missoula tradition. The Jeanette Rankin Peace Center was just getting started back then, and we were a perfect partner for this work. Our mission is to provide a space for people in the community to reflect on and learn about and figure out how it is that we make peace together and to practice that. So being involved in searching out and learning about and honoring the people in our very own community who are doing that work was a perfect way for us to make our vision come alive. Mary is our 31st Peacemaker, and she joins a list of incredible people. Many of them are here, and you'll meet them. All of them are making peace visible for the rest of us. I'd like to ask the members of the Jeanette Rankin Peace Center Coordinating Council to stand. I know you're out there, don't be bashful. Yes. If you want to know more about what we're up to, find out more about what we're doing and become a member, please talk to one of us. Your support helps us keep doing this work, and your voice and ideas keep our organization strong. We believe that peacemaking is more than just talking to people you agree with. It is about finding that place in the middle where we can all learn and understand. And it is those places that we seek to be. So if that's something that you believe in, we ask you to think about joining us and being part of this organization. Last fall, the people that you just met and the Missoula Peace Quilters got together to make a selection from the nominations that we received for Peacemaker last year. And let me tell you, we live in an incredible community because that decision was not easy, never is. But last fall, one name did stand out, that of Mary Poole. Mary's had many jobs and interests and always exploring over the years. One in particular taught her something that she has continued to treasure. As a river guide, she learned about focusing on point positive. So instead of looking at the things you want to avoid or the dangers ahead, you focus instead on where you want to go. And in that way, all of your energy is focused on getting you there. In 2015, we all saw a picture of Alan Kurdi, the young boy who drowned in the Mediterranean as his family was fleeing Syria, desperate to reach Europe. We all see many tragedies in the news every day. There's a quote, "If you're not outraged, you're not paying attention." Well, Mary Poole was paying attention. Mary chose to act. And a little over a year ago, a year that had many point positive moments in it, we opened a refugee resettlement office in Missoula. Soft Landing, Missoula came to be, and many new neighbors are here among us, safe. They're bringing their gifts of their culture to us as we share our culture with them. But that isn't where Mary's story ends. There were many people opposed to refugees coming to Missoula. Mary became the target of threats and hostility. Mary is a peacemaker today because of the way she chose to react to those threats. She chose to sit down and have a beer with them, invite them to each other's barbecues. She chose to learn about each other's lives and the fears and disappointments and joys that made each of them human. It would be easy to vilify the people that oppose you. Many people did. In our desire for peace, we often get distracted by the negativity around us. But Mary chose to stay focused on the good and to see her fellow humans instead of enemies. I personally watched a woman carrying a large sign that said, "Refugees not welcome here," or something like that, come up and pat Mary on the back and say she was glad to see her and how was she doing and how was her family, and "You sure are a nice girl. I don't agree with you, but you sure are a nice girl." If you let go of being right, you can make room to be human. And Mary will tell you that she's still learning. And that's good. We all are. I found out that Mary likes Rumi, and Rumi has a perfect quote for Mary's journey of learning. "Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond." Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Mary chose to see Alan Kurdi as a guide, and Missoula is a safe haven now for other Alan Kurdis. She went on to choose the challenging path of seeing her opposition as a guide, and that is the vision of peace that we're honoring today. We've invited Clem Work and Molly Cottrell to come and speak about Mary a little bit more. They work with her, so tell us a little bit more about Mary from their perspective. So I'd like to now invite the two of them up here.
Hello, my name is Clem Work. I am board president of Soft Landing, Missoula, and I'm delighted to say a few words about our extraordinary executive director, Mary Poole, who is being honored today as Peacemaker of the Year. At first impression, even at second impression, Mary doesn't come across as Mother Teresa, if that's your image of Peacemaker. Nor is she Gandhi. She's not saintly, she's not ascetic, and she's definitely not Joan of Arc with zeal cutting down her enemies with a mighty sword. Now, it is true that she's not afraid to use a sharp blade and may have slaughtered a few goats and dressed a few deer and elk in her time, but that's a wholly different story. But what she is dedicated, irreverent, or you might call sassy, and down-to-earth practical. And I submit to you that it is these qualities that led the drive to bring refugee resettlement to Missoula. And just as important are helping bridge the divide in the state between those who support soft landing and the International Rescue Committee and those who are opposed. How many of us here in this room would knock back beers at Flippers, that's the casino behind the Peace Center, with half a dozen of them, of those who abhor the idea of refugees coming to Montana? How many of us would swap jokes, but most of all listen and empathize, say things like, oh my gosh, I can see how that bothers you. And acknowledge real people's real fears with sincerity and humility. Then reach out in similar ways over and over, even with death threats and overt hostility and nasty notes from legislators. I don't know about you, but my first inclination in such a situation would be to tick off 4 or 5 reasons why they're terribly wrong and then get frustrated when they don't see the light. Mary did not come by her peacemaking skills in a saintly vision. As the 4th child in an Irish Catholic family, her instincts, I would guess, were rather more shaped toward fight and survive. So in some ways, it has been a painful learning process, learning to let go of your agenda, to sit and absorb and commiserate and listen to people's concerns, but at the same time, to hew to your principles, not lose sight of your goals. Mary's goal, as far as soft landing is concerned, is embodied in our organization's vision. Quote, to help Missoula to be a welcoming, supportive, and informed community that can assist refugees to integrate and thrive. With the help of Mary's right-hand woman, Molly Cottrell, and the board and the interns and hundreds of volunteers and the IRC, Mary's goal is being realized even in the face of antipathy and opposition from the White House and organized national and local anti-refugee organizations. Soft landing's real success under Mary's leadership is not the stuff of headlines where conflict is preferred, but rather the quiet and unheralded product of dedication and hard work. Outreach is critical, and Mary's dance card is full of speaking engagements with groups large and small across Montana. But there's plenty more. When Congolese and Syrian and Eritrean and Iraqi mothers beam at their children's English, part of the credit goes to unseen aides and tutors who help them daily in the schools. Volunteers work long, unglamorous hours picking up furniture and sorting donated clothing and household supplies and setting up homes for new arrivals. Other volunteers teach our new neighbors English and driver's ed and computing and filmmaking, where they learn to tell their own stories. Soccer players hone their skills for our upcoming World Refugee Day Cup, which is on June 17th. Working parents wrestle with new gender roles in childcare as they go to their jobs to pay the rent, supported by mentors and friends. And yes, our new neighbors cope with slights and rude gestures from time to time, and then move on, taking comfort in the good hearts of most people. All of this is a process of years of uneven progress and yet to be encountered ups and downs. To inspire so many people to this task is no mean feat. But let's face it, we do it because it calls us. It stirs something within us. What is truly inspiring, however, is the quiet work of rare individuals like Mary and her mentor, Betsy Mulligan-Daigle, reaching out and listening, empathizing and sharing laughter, recognizing the other as someone human, bridging chasms of mistrust and misinformation and misperception, and then rinse and repeat, doing it all over again. We're a land of many divides and many dualities, good and bad, black and white, left and right, pitted against each other in so many ways and in the service of so many righteous isms. And in our zero-sum calculations, their loss is our gain and vice versa. Ultimately, however, we have to ask, where's the progress? Bridging the divide, in other words, making peace, Mary told me, is the best way to get there. A gentleman named Tim Delacqua posted this on Soft Landing's Facebook page the other day after Mary's award had been announced. It seems like a fitting tribute to end with. Tim wrote, quote, I want to thank Mary Poole for her wonderful work in a time of confusion and some hatred. You are an inspiration and a candle in the dark world. So many people are so lucky to have you. Thanks. Thank you, my friend. We are indeed lucky to have you.
Good afternoon. I'm Molly Cottrell. I'm the program director for Soft Landing Missoula, and I've had the privilege to work with Mary every day. And for about the last year and a half. A year and a half ago, I'd never heard of Mary Poole. I actually read about her in the Missoulian newspaper as part of this early group coming together to see how Missoula could resettle refugees. I showed up at one of those early meetings of Soft Landing Missoula and found my life changed forever. Being with Mary every day since, I've been the one to really get to witness the way she leads, her honor, her grace, the humor, those skills that you might think have come from years of nonprofit experience. Am I not speaking loud enough? Oh. But if you look back on Mary's resume, she actually doesn't have any of this experience. Getting back to the river guide, the ER nurse, the jewelry maker, what else is on your resume? The arborist. If you ride around town with Mary, she will point out every tree that she's ever planted, which is a lot. But it's been amazing to watch Mary, who doesn't have that resume, who doesn't have that special degree behind her name, be this amazing leader and exactly what this community has needed this last year and a half, and how successful she's been with her varied and most interesting background. It really just goes to show that someone with the passion, with the dedication, with the idea can change the community. And I brought my friend Ginny along today just to say a few more words because she's a little bit more eloquent than I am.
Yeah, Molly said, come up with me, but there's really not a whole lot I can add other than to share a couple of anecdotes. When this movement was in its very early stages, I also was at some of the early meetings, and I see some faces out here of those of you who joined us, and Mary emerged as an egoless leader. She was carrying with her the spirit that we have in our community and became its natural representative, someone who was welcoming, willing to learn, and completely able to bear the sometimes frightening burden of confronting our opposition. What has inspired me so much about Mary is that, as we said early on in this process, what's going to get us through this is the quality of our presence. And Mary embodies in her presence a kind of calm and determination, good humor, and a down-to-earth practicality, as Clem said. I just came from a meeting where several volunteers are trying to determine how to help some families have a booth at the farmers market where they can sell some of their international foods. And she's just done a wonderful job of sustaining herself and this organization throughout this entire process. I'm here today with Heba Al-Hussein, who's in the back of the room. Who's become a dear friend and is from Syria. She's here with her baby son. That's all I can say.
I didn't quite think it was going to be such a tearful afternoon, but... And now I'd like to introduce you to the women who make this award possible. The Missoula Peace Quilters, I'd like to ask them to stand if they would. And one among them, there's one woman here, Ellie Larson, who really is the dream. She is one of the original people that had this dream over 30 years ago, and I think has been part of every quilt since then. So it's an amazing group of women, and I'm proud to know them. They are peace quilters because they know what it is to bring disparate pieces of cloth together, or disparate ideas and opinions together, and make a quilt, or one path forward. They've made a quilt each year that uniquely reflects every single peacemaker that we've had. And in addition, they've sent peace quilts of friendship around the world. They helped raise money through a quilt for the new roof on the Peace Center. And they welcomed the first 3 refugee families with a quilt of their own. The beauty that has been added to this community by these women is just amazing. So I thank you, and today is as much about honoring you all as about the Peacemaker. Most awards, most folks that get an award get a plaque. Some get money, some get some other item, but you will never, ever have another award quite like this one. There is no other award like this, Mary. It's made to reflect you by loving hands that are guided by a vision and a desire for peace and a commitment to be that peace. So now, I'd like to invite Suzanne Sterrett up to talk about and unveil the quilt that is for Mary.
Well, as a Missoula Peace Quilter, I'm the one in the group who doesn't mind speaking in public. So please, please remember that my voice is a group voice, and our work is just what was said. It's an effort to come together with all of our hearts and souls and our ideas and experiences and skills and share them in some way that takes something inside your head and puts it out there for others to grasp in much the same way that peace happens, I think. And there are bumpy moments sometimes, and there are some moments of challenge to get the job done. But we do, and we all, I think, create something that is more and better than any one of us could do. And so, Mary, I was not available to go to the interview, but I learned so much from the women who were. And what we do is when the recipient is nominated and chosen, then we set up a visit. So Mary knew at that point that she was going to be the recipient, and then we're all sworn to secrecy. And so an interview happens to learn more about Mary, not just as the Peacemaker, but also who she is, just across all things. And one of the things I was really taken with in hearing from others who were at the interview was how solid you are as a human being, and that's been said, I think, today. There is this amazing sense of belonging and knowing she belongs, and the diversity in her experiences and her life create passion for all things. And so the things that we tried to do were to take the colors that she had shared as her favorites, to take her life experiences with Point Positive and river running, as well as nature and the wild and trees. And also she requested specifically not a traditional quilt and more modern in nature. And this is it. So here we are. This off. We had some ideas that came together that pushed us a little out there on this one, and it was very exciting to create. And I personally had a really hard time putting ideas from my mind out to share with others, and I think that was also an issue for several of us. But it all came together, and when I read the program and this Land of Your Land, I thought, yeah, that's what we did. We did it. And then earlier, someone talking about taking one step at a time and the little footstep rocks that are in there. The intent is to take the colors that you like and to create kind of an image of a couple possibilities of water or mountains or outdoors, and as well as to put those trees in there. So that's clearly an important part. So Mary, this is your award. It's not a plaque.
Always multitasking. Thank you guys so much. Oh my gosh, this is insane. This is amazing. I think one of the greatest gifts right now is how many people that I know when I look around this room that I didn't know a year and a half ago. And this is an incredibly inspiring group of people, and I'm so honored to be a part of it. But as most people said, apparently you have to piss quite a few people off in order to join this community, so maybe I've paid my dues. So Clem and Molly, thank you so much for being so kind, and for you've really been here with me every day, and it doesn't go the way it goes without you, so thank you. And I want to also give a huge thanks to so many in this city who have been on board with this endeavor, this adventure from day one, including the mayor, including our city council, including this handful to dozens of people who were at those very first meetings and made it happen, the hundreds, reaching thousands who have marched with us, my amazing board that does so much for Soft Landing. They're basically employees of Soft Landing, which has just been so awesome. And all of our hundreds and hundreds of volunteers who work to make Missoula a welcoming city. This is really your guys' award. And the success of us is only because of you. We live in a very, very special place that this could happen. So I want to say a couple little words about peace, because I'm only now starting to kind of understand what this all means. I don't know that peace was ever something that came naturally to me, as many people have pointed out. And being the middle of 5 kids in an Irish Catholic O'Malley family sure didn't help. Or maybe it did, we don't know. And I'm going to admit something now, because I'm an honest person to this room, that I probably shouldn't admit, but I don't know that I'm someone that believes in world peace. I don't know that I'm someone that can get my head around what it would ever look like not to have conflict in the world. And I could be wrong on this, because I have been maybe once or twice before in my life. But despite that, I'm also really, really realizing how important it is to work towards that every day, to work towards the impossible, because that's the only way that you could ever imagine getting there. Work towards it in our homes, in our communities, in our cities. And I don't know that we'll ever get rid of the wars, the persecution, the conflict that are causing people to have to flee their homes. But I'm so honored that we might be able to offer a tiny, tiny bit of peace to those who need it, right here in Missoula. And it goes without saying, it's nothing that I did alone, but that belongs to all of you. So a lot of the last year and a half of my life has been crazy. It's been awesome and hard and beautiful and amazing, but most of all, it has been this idea that's been touched on once or twice about growth and personal growth. And I'm so honored and so touched by this award, because I've truly come to feel that it is the most important part of my work, this peace. For me, it's in the form of creating a welcoming community for all, even and especially those who disagree, but that's where I find peace. It's been an incredible thing to learn how much you love your work when you didn't really know what your work was going to be to begin with. And there is one person here I want to especially thank, and that's Miss Betsy, of course. One person who, once I heard her speak, my heart soared. All my confusion over what this all meant for me and what this all meant for Missoula and all the conflict, it turned to clarity that first time that I heard you speak. And I really have found a voice in Betsy, and I do consider her one of the most important mentors in my life. So thank you, Betsy. And I know I'm not alone in this. You are a mentor, a role model, and a teacher for this entire community. So thank you. Okay, I'm gonna wrap it up now. So in saying all of this stuff, I'm still really new to all this peace thing. I love it, but it's like I kind of picked up an old coat at a thrift store. I tried it on. It felt okay. It's not always comfortable. Sometimes I still really think it smells like the old owner's closet. But it's kept me warm, and it seems to fit okay, so I think I'm going to keep it. And plus, the zipper's kind of broken, so it's got to stay on. All right, thanks, guys. Thanks so much. This is beautiful. This is amazing.
And dance, 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 dance. The day you were born, the angels did the bump to Gabriel's horn. God dance. The day you were born, so grateful for the gift of you. I saw God do the funky chicken, stepping and kicking in blue suede shoes. I saw God do the boogaloo face with the gift of you. I have heard some folks say that long ago God could not dance to save her soul, but thankful I saw her shake that jelly roll, thinking about the gift of you. I have heard some folks say that the funky chicken stepping and kicking in big suede shoes. So I saw dance the day you were born, so grateful for the gift of you. Grateful for the gift of you.
Happy birthday indeed. We realized it was Mary's birthday today, so tomorrow. So you'll notice a cake on the table over there. It's not for any of you. It's for Mary to take home and celebrate with her family. So now I would like to ask Mary to stay, and I want to acknowledge the past peacemakers who are here and ask them to come up and join Mary. All of them are proof that each of us have steps right in our very own lives that we can take to make peace visible in this world. So come on, guys. I can see you out there. Come on. Past peacemakers. Flo Chesson, Jim Rainey, Butch Turk, Connie Skousen, who's deceased, Perry Gleesman, Pat Ortmeyer, Anita Doyle, Beth Sir, Scott Morgan and Tom Javins, Julie Grant, Alice Campbell, deceased, John Agner and Tammy Elser, Pete Lawrenson, Jim Hogan, Liz Rance, Scott Nicholson and Brian E. Schwan, Rita Jankowska Bradley, Amy Martin, Ethel McDonald, Peter Schober, Josh Schlotnick, Carol Schneider and the Women in Black, Jim Karen, John Bow, Jane McAllister, Dan Gallagher, deceased, Mike Chesson, Claudia Brown, Kathy and Glenn Wood, Patrick Weaselhead. There are far too few honors for those who work for peace, so please join me in honoring these local heroes. I think they deserve one more round of applause. Thank you all for being remarkable examples for the rest of us. This award honors you all as it also calls you to be a mirror of peace in our community. So thank you. I want to ask you all to stick around and celebrate with Mary. Enjoy some of the cookies that were generously baked by volunteers from Soft Landing and Har Shalom and the Peace Center. We have several events coming up at the Peace Center that you can find more about on the table back there. I have a sign-in book, so you can sign a little note to Mary back there. And please consider filling out a nomination form for the 2018 Peacemaker. Never too early to start looking. I'm so glad that you were here to help honor Mary. I want to thank many people to make this day happen. Carol Schneider has been up here on stage several times, but she has done a very lot to make this happen too today. There's other people on the back of your program. However, there is one thank you that I forgot to put on the back of the program, and that is, you'll see a basket of cranes over there by the cookies, and they were all made by a group of women that call themselves the Cranium. Actually, there's men there too, so it's a group that call themselves the Cranium. They meet weekly at the Peace Center and practice origami. And they made the cranes for all of you to take home as a treasure of today and a reminder about what we are working for. So at this point, I would like to ask you all to join in with us, with the chorus, on our final song, This Is Our Land. Words are in your program.
This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As I was walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway. I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me.
notice, the Montana Women's Chorus was just joined by the Missoula Gay Men's Chorus, and representing duality come together. There's lots of cookies to enjoy and Mary to hug, and let's get started. I want to let you know that we have 2 events coming up at the Peace Center. They're not as fun as this one, but they're very important, worthy events. On tomorrow night, we have Brian Wilson, who's a Vietnam veteran and activist, and showing a film, Paying the Price for Peace. And then on June 10th, we have our conference, Beyond Us and Them, What's Possible. So hopefully it will continue some of the conversation that Mary started. It's at UCC, June 10th. What? Oh. Anyway, yay! Yay! Let's keep the work for peace going and get the cookies gone.
Oh, are we going that way?